I tore the aorta, which is the main vessel off of my heart, but I was blessed that I only lost the use of my legs. They had to keep me chemically induced in a coma. About 3 weeks later that I woke up in the hospital and I was still in Gualala. And I'll never forget that day when I realized that, wow, I couldn't move my legs. I just thought life had ended. You know, my first thought was, what am I going to do? How am I going to support myself? That was the biggest barrier, the biggest hurt. I didn't realize how much my identity was wrapped around what I did for a living. And in turn, that caused me to be a really bitter and angry person, and I ended up down at Motel 6 and 16th of May of 2009, and I'll never forget that day. You know, I mean, I was out of money, and for the first time since my accident, I was contemplating suicide. And it wasn't 20 minutes later that I got a phone call from a friend that asked me if I had heard of COTS. So I got on the phone and I called, and they told me what to do. Call back every day at 8 o'clock, and when a bed's available, we'll let you know. And so I started calling every day, and I called and called and called, and man, my money was running out, and I was in despair, and I'm like, what am I going to do? And on the fourth day I called, and again that soothing voice answered and said, yes, we do have a bed available. Can you make it in here at 2 o'clock today? And my heart leaped with joy, and excuse me, I pulled up at the Mary Isaac Center, and first thing I noticed was, man, it's handicap accessible. I seen the sticker on the door, and I wheeled up to the doors, and the door was really light, and I came inside, and they handed me an application, and I went into the kitchen, and there was a few other people there that day that were trying to get in the same as I was and everything. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I stuck out. I didn't feel like I was disabled. I didn't feel like I stood out in this chair, because we were all suffering the same kind of grief that day. We were all disabled in our own way. We were all homeless and everything in that common bond. And it was just a big turning point for me. And immediately the COTS staff, they recognized my lack of self-worth, but yet my strong independence. And they handed me a mop and a mop bucket and put me on the kitchen chore. And it sounds funny, but and it is, but it was a really big turning point for my life, because I was so defeated and everything. And the big thing that taught me was that I was defeated because I hadn't tried and everything. And COTS came alongside me, and they stood by me in that effort. And another thing that COTS required was that we do community service. And that community service, I think, is more for our benefit than for COTS, because I had another fear, a fear of being out in public. I mean, I didn't even want to come out of my room. I just felt so ugly in this chair, but I wanted anything to have a roof over my head. And so I faced that fear, and in facing that and doing that community service is I believe is a big attribute of why I'm up here in front of you today, because a year and a half ago I wouldn't have been able to do this. I had a pile of medical bills and just a lot of things facing me and not knowing what to do. And COTS really came alongside me and helped me learn through RentRight how to budget my money. And through taking that class, I've learned how to not only budget my money, but to allot it to the bills that I need. But I've learned to obtain, and I'm still in my own housing today and stuff. And then just another big recent turn of events is because I'm so inspired by what COTS has done for me. I've enrolled at the Santa Rosa JC, and I'm in the human services field right now. I'm going for my advocacy, and COTS offered me a part-time job, and I just got hired there, and there they are again, coming alongside me, you know, not only in my recovery from homelessness, but also in my recovery from joblessness. And COTS wasn't there as much to give me a handout, but they were there to give me a hand up, and that's what I needed. And I just want to thank you all for being here for me today.